It is roughly 40,000 years ago, and the fire just died. You are lying in a cave in what will one day be called South Africa. The last orange coal winks out, and the black rushes in like water. You cannot see your own hand in front of your face. Somewhere out past the cave mouth, something moves across the gravel. Your heart slams against your ribs. Your breath goes shallow, quiet, careful. You did not decide to be afraid. Your body decided for you a full second before you knew anything at all. Every muscle you own is suddenly awake and listening. And here is the strange part. Right now, reading this, warm and safe and surrounded by walls, some small ancient piece of you is still in that cave. Still listening, still afraid of the exact same thing. So let us ask the obvious question out loud. Why are you afraid of the dark? Because you are. At least a little. Maybe not screaming, but notice what you actually do. You walk a bit faster up the basement stairs. You feel the skin on your neck when the hallway light is off. Nothing about the room has changed. The furniture is exactly where it was. The dark is just the room with the lights turned down. And yet your body treats it like a loaded threat. Here is the thing nobody tells you. The dark itself has never hurt a single person. Darkness has no teeth. It cannot bite you, chase you, or claw you. So why does a harmless absence of light trip one of the oldest alarms in your brain? Why do children on every continent fear the same nothing at the same age? This is not a random quirk. This is a clue. And it points somewhere very old and very hungry. I want to take you somewhere. Not to imaginary monsters under the bed, but to the real thing that carved this fear into you. We will meet a small child killed by an eagle 2.5 million years ago. We will meet a leopard that hunted your ancestors and dragged them into a cave. We will look inside your own skull at the tiny switch that flips the second the lights go out. We will even find the one invention that finally let our ancestors fight back. And by the end, you will understand something genuinely surprising. You are not actually afraid of the dark. You never were. You are afraid of what the dark was built to hide. Start with something so obvious that you have never once thought about it. You are a day animal. Biologists have a tidy word for it, diurnal, which just means you do your living while the sun is up. And your eyes give the game away completely. Your retina is packed with cone cells, the ones that catch color and fine detail, and in daylight they hand you a gorgeous, crisp picture of the world. But cones are greedy. They need light, and lots of it. The moment the sun drops below the hills, your cones go nearly useless. What you have left is your backup system, the rods, built for dim light. Here is the problem with your backup. You carry roughly 200,000 rods per square millimeter of retina. An owl carries up to 1 million. Next to the creatures that own the night, your night vision is frankly a joke. You are, for practical purposes, half blind for 12 hours out of every 24. And even that backup takes its sweet time. Walk into a dark room and your eyes need roughly 20 full minutes to fully adjust. 20 minutes of near blindness, right when you can least afford it. Think about that for a second. For half of your entire life, the sense your brain trusts more than any other simply stops working. And it is not a glitch you can train away. It is built in. Our primate ancestors gave up their sharpest night vision millions of years ago when they bet everything on the daytime. You inherited the bill. So the dark is not just darkness. The dark is the precise moment your greatest superpower quietly switches off. And something out there has always known it. Now here is what turns that fact from inconvenient into terrifying. The animals that hunt do not keep your schedule. Go and ask a leopard, a lion, a hyena, or a wolf when they prefer to work. Almost all of them answer the same way. After dark, their eyes are the exact mirror image of yours. Where you carry a beautiful daytime camera, they carry a night vision scope. Many predators have a mirror-like layer behind the retina, called the tapetum lucidum, that bounces light back through the eye for a second pass. It is why a cat's eyes flash green in your headlights. They are literally recycling the faint scraps of light that you cannot use at all. And it is not only their eyes. A hunting hyena reads the night by smell and sound as much as by sight, tracking a scent trail you would never even notice. Some of them work in coordinated packs, closing in from angles you cannot see. So picture the raw deal your ancestors were handed. For 12 hours a day, you can barely see, while the things that want to eat, you can see just fine. That is not a fair fight. That is a scheduled disadvantage every single night for millions of years running. And evolution notices a pattern like that. When a danger shows up reliably at the same time, for thousands of generations, your brain stops filing it as a surprise. It starts filing it as a rule. Sundown equals vulnerability. The bodies that survived were the ones that got nervous the instant the light failed. Which brings us to a genuinely uncomfortable branch of your family tree. For a long time, we told ourselves a flattering story about the past. Man the hunter, spear in hand, king of the food chain, master of the open plains. It is a lovely story. It is also, for most of our history, a lie. Long before we were the hunters, we were the hunted, and we have the actual bones to prove it. Meet the Taung child. Found in South Africa, this is the skull of a young Australopithecus, an early human relative who died somewhere around 2.5 million years ago at roughly 3 years old. For decades, nobody was sure how the child died. Then researchers looked very closely at the eye sockets. There were puncture marks, small gouges and V-shaped nicks cut into the bone right around the eyes. In 2006, the paleoanthropologist Lee Berger matched that specific damage to a specific killer. Not a lion, not a big cat at all, a large eagle. It is the same style of talon damage found in monkeys taken by birds of prey today. Sit with that image for a moment. A small child, snatched off the ground, carried into the sky by a bird. And that is not a metaphor. That is a 2.5 million year old crime scene, still legible in the bone. Your ancestors did not only fear the dark ground below them. Danger came from above, from below, and from the shadows on every side. Death could arrive from any direction at all, but the ground had its own quiet specialist. Not far away, inside a cave called Swartkrans, there is a skull with a different ending. It belonged to a young Paranthropus robustus, a sturdy cousin on the human family tree, dead for roughly 1.5 million years. On the back of that skull sit 2 neat round holes. For years, they were simply a puzzle. Then a South African scientist named C.K. Brain tried something brilliantly, almost absurdly simple. He took the lower jaw of a leopard and lined its 2 canine teeth up against the 2 holes. They fit. Exactly. 2 puncture wounds, spaced precisely a leopard's bite apart. Here is the scene that leaves behind. A leopard kills your ancestor, clamps the skull in its jaws, and hauls the body up a tree or down into a cave to eat in peace safely away from the hyenas. In fact, an entire leopard skull was later found in the very same cave deposits. This was not a freak accident. For our ancestors, being eaten was an ordinary, expected cause of death. And leopards then, as now, do their hunting when? At night. Let us be honest about what that actually means for you. For millions of years, your bloodline was food, and mostly food after dark. Every ancestor you have ever had, without a single exception, survived long enough to have children, which means every last one of them was good at not being eaten. And a huge slice of not being eaten came down to one simple rule. When the light goes, get scared, get alert, and get somewhere safe. So evolution had 2.5 million years of brutally consistent feedback. Fear the dark, and you live longer. Shrug at the dark, and you become somebody's dinner. Pressure like that does not just tweak behavior, it builds hardware. Deep inside your brain sit 2 small almond-shaped clusters, together called the amygdala. This is your threat detection center, the smoke alarm of your mind, and it turns out the amygdala has a direct, physical relationship with light itself. In 2021, researchers ran a beautifully simple experiment. They slid people into a brain scanner and changed only the lighting. Just the brightness. No scary pictures, no sudden sounds, nothing threatening at all. And they watched the amygdala. Under brighter light, the amygdala settled and calmed down. In the dark, its activity climbed. Read that one more time. The mere absence of light with 0 real danger present quietly winds up the fear center of your brain. You do not need to see a monster. You do not even need to imagine one. The darkness by itself is enough to nudge the alarm toward on. And there is a physical wire for this. Your eye contains special light sensors, separate from the ones you see with that report only on brightness. They feed straight into the ancient, mood, and fear parts of the brain. So light does not just help you see. Light quietly tells your oldest circuits that it is safe. Take the light away, and that reassuring signal simply stops. It is like a car with a hair trigger security system, the kind that starts flashing the second the garage door rolls shut. Nothing is wrong. The car does not care. And here's the twist tucked inside the twist. This means your fear of the dark is not really a thought. It is not a belief you could calmly argue yourself out of. It is a setting. It is wired in underneath reason, in a part of the brain far older than logic. This is exactly why the fear shows up so early and so predictably in every one of us. Watch a small child for a while. Almost nobody has to sit a toddler down and teach them to fear the dark. It simply arrives, usually right on cue. Studies find the fear is rare before age 2, then climbs steeply and peaks somewhere between the ages of 3 and 6. After that, for most kids, it slowly and quietly fades. Now think hard about what that timing is telling you. The fear switches on at precisely the age when a small human first starts wandering a few steps away from its mother. The age at which you become just independent enough to get lost and still just slow enough to get caught. A coincidence? Evolution does not usually deal in coincidences that neat. And the fear is genuinely everywhere. Across wildly different cultures on every inhabited continent, children fear the same nothing at roughly the same age. When a trait appears in every human population, no matter how isolated it is that is a giant flashing sign, it usually means the trait was not learned from your particular culture at all. It came standard, already installed in the box with the species. So the next time a child begs you for a nightlight, understand what is really happening. They are not being silly or weak. They are running software that kept your family alive for 2 million years. And notice that the fear fades in most kids right around the age they grow big and fast enough to be a harder target. The program does not just switch on at the vulnerable age, it also politely dials down once the worst danger has passed, which raises one very fair objection, and I owe you an honest answer before we go any further. Here is one more piece, and it is the sneakiest one of all. The dark is not really frightening because of what is in it. It is frightening because of what you cannot rule out. In bright daylight, your brain gets a full report. Empty room, no threats, stand down. In the dark, that report comes back almost blank, and your brain absolutely hates a blank. So it does what it evolved to do. It fills the gap with the worst plausible option. That shape in the corner might be a coat thrown over a chair. It might also be something crouching. With no light to settle the question, your threat system refuses to bet your life on the coat. This is why a dark bedroom feels worse than a dark closet you just checked. It is not the darkness. It is the uncertainty inside the darkness. Your ancestors who assumed the rustle was only the wind got eaten a little more often than the ones who assumed it was a leopard and froze. Being wrong about the wind costs you one jumpy night. Being wrong about the leopard costs you everything you will ever have. So your brain is deliberately, stubbornly biased toward the expensive mistake. It is not one thing. It is never just one thing. It is bad night vision plus real predators plus a trigger-happy alarm plus a mind that fills the dark with teeth. And all of it stacks up into that exact feeling on the basement stairs. For a moment, put yourself back at that cave mouth. If the dark was truly this deadly, how on earth did we ever make it out? The answer is the single most important thing our ancestors ever did. We learned how to cut a hole in the night. Fire. At a site called Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, there is evidence of controlled fire reaching back roughly 1 million years, ash and burned bone found deep inside the cave. Think about what a fire actually is to a small, half-blind, hunted ape. It is a portable piece of daytime. It shoves the dark back a few precious meters. It lets you finally see the edge of the threat. Predators, for the most part, will not walk into that ring of light. So the campfire was never only for warmth or for cooking. The campfire was a wall. And notice what it did to the fear. It did not delete it. It gave it a border. Inside the light, you could finally rest. Outside the light, the old dread still waited and watched. And that split, safe circle here, danger out there, is so deep in us that you feel it right now. You feel it every time a streetlight at the end of a dark road feels like pure relief. And that is not a metaphor. That is a million-year-old habit still glowing in your chest whenever your hand finds the switch in a dark room. Now let us be honest, because you deserve the fair version. Is fear of the dark always useful today? Obviously not. There is no leopard in your hallway. The overwhelming odds are that the dark kitchen at 2 in the morning contains a kitchen and nothing else. For most people in the modern world, this ancient alarm is firing at threats that simply no longer exist. It is a smoke detector shrieking because you made toast. And for a small number of people, it goes much further than a jumpy feeling. When the fear becomes intense, persistent, and starts wrecking sleep or daily life, it has a clinical name, nyctophobia, and it is genuinely worth taking seriously. So I am not telling you the fear is always wise. Sometimes it really is just noise from a very old machine. But here is the distinction that matters most. The fear is not childish, and it is not a personal weakness. A 12-year-old who wants the hall light left on is not immature. They are sane. They are running a program that was, for almost the entire human story, completely and reliably correct. The fear is out of date. It was never once irrational. So here's the reframe I promised you, the thing that quietly changes how the whole feeling looks. You have been asking the wrong question this entire time. You keep asking, why am I afraid of the dark? But the dark was never really the point. Darkness is just the stage. The real fear, the thing your body is straining every night to detect, is what the darkness might be hiding. Your fear of the dark is not fear of nothing. It is a 2-million-year-old predator detector, still switched on, still scanning, long after the predators walked away. And it gets stranger still. That same ancient wiring may be why so many of us lie awake at night wide-eyed and alert, unable to shut down. There is a real idea for this in science, the sentinel hypothesis. Researchers studying the Hadza, hunter-gatherers in Tanzania, tracked people's sleep for weeks on end. Across all those nights, there was almost never a single moment when the entire group was asleep at once. Someone was always stirring, always half awake, always watching. Out of 20 full days, every one of them was asleep together for a grand total of 18 minutes. So the night owl who cannot sleep, the light sleeper who wakes at every creak, may not be broken at all. They may simply be the descendant of the tribe's night guard. Here's the line I want you to keep. You are not afraid of the dark. You are afraid of what used to be standing in it. And that is not a flaw in you. That is the whole reason you are alive, to feel it. So tonight, when you reach for the switch a half-second faster than you strictly need to do, not feel silly about it. That small flicker of unease is not weakness, and it is not some leftover from being a scared little kid. It is a message passed hand to hand down an unbroken line of survivors, every single one of whom made it to morning. The child in the cave is still in there. The eagle, the leopard, the long dark hours of listening, all of it is still folded quietly into you. You are the one who was not eaten. You are the living end of a 2-million-year winning streak against the dark. So go ahead. Leave the hall light on. Some part of you earned the right to feel safe, and some part of you will always keep watch. Both of them are you. Both of them are ancient, and both of them tonight finally get to rest.